So here's the first shop meeting. I'm going to start a YouTube channel, and I just kind of wanted to explain who I am, where I come from, and what I plan to do. So my name's Brian, and I want to start this YouTube channel because there's a lot of things in the automotive machining world that I don't think are done correctly. Um, it's not so much, I guess it's not so much correctly as there could be a lot more precision. I see a lot of videos where guys are hacking stuff together, and I don't really want that. I don't like that. So I'm gonna throw my abilities up there and maybe hopefully explain why I do some of the stuff and some of the weird things that we get into. I grew up in a family full of machinists, and so my mindset, regular job shop machinist. There's definitely a difference between a job shop machinist and an automotive machinist. And automotive guys work at a completely different set of parameters than a regular machinist. Regular machinist has blueprints and specs and follows everything to a T, so that when that part comes out, it is exactly what the blueprints say or what the spec sheet says, and it's got to meet all the parameters, and or it's junk. And with automotive machinists, there's a lot of guys, especially the older guys, that have come up with, oh, I can put my piston to wall clearance at this or that, uh, where it's just not. It'll work. It'll work just fine in a V8. Um, but when you get into a lot of these newer things, like we do a lot of Subaru stuff, and that'll make some interesting videos. Um, because the like Subarus, BMWs, Mercedes, uh, even the newer Ford modular motors, most of your newer engines run tighter tolerances, and so you have to pay attention to things like tolerance stack, and there's not really a such thing as a close enough. Um, and so I think that's where my shop's excelled, is in the precision. Uh, and everybody likes to say you need CNCs to be precise. Um, what you need is a qualified machinist. Um, I the newest machine in my shop is 1980. The oldest machine in my shop is 1935. I've got a valve grinder that I haven't quite figured out how old it is. It's my backup unit, and I'm kind of doing a restoration on it. That might be older than that, but I don't think so. I have one of my boring bars is 1935, and my Bridgeport mill is 1980, and everybody else in the shop kind of falls somewhere in the middle. Um, okay, so had a little bit of an interruption. Um, so I'm not quite sure where I left off, and I'm not real good at editing videos. So, uh, my main thing is I'm going to try and do videos that pertain to the precision and things that we can do with the older machines that we have. I take a lot of pride in being a manual machine shop, because there's not a lot of us left, and usually in repair work and stuff like that, a manual machine makes it a lot easier to actually do the job if you know how to run the machine. There's a lot of things that have gotten lost in the last probably 20 years of machining, where guys don't understand the machining processes fully. They're really good at programming, and a lot of the CNC programs actually take care of speeds and feeds and what tool to use and that sort of thing, and so they have a little bit different skill set. I was trained. Well, I mean, I grew up in. I guess I wasn't trained. I was born into a family with a couple of really good machinists in it, and uh, I kind of become uh, really good at doing manual machining. My uncle, he likes to tell stories about when he was a kid. The family across the street had a machine shop, and he would go down and he would clean the machines just to see what they were doing, and he just had a fascination with machining. And of course, that little 8 or 9 year old kid turned into a young adult that went to trade school to be a machinist, and he graduated in 1965. And back then everything was manual. I think they might have had punch card machines, but that was probably pretty advanced. um, and so, he's really good with manual machines. He's going to turn 76 this year, and uh, he's kind of the one that pushed me along. I've always had a fascination with machining. My grandfather, who was actually my uncle's brother-in-law, started a machine shop in the 70s, and my uncle still works there. He, but they built that shop. It's probably almost a half a city block. They built that shop on taking in the stuff that nobody else could do or nobody else wanted to do. And I catch myself doing that a lot with the automotive machining stuff. A couple of times my uncle's come into the shop and he's seen what I'm doing, and he looks at me and he goes, "I wouldn't have taken that in. That's way too big of a pain in the ass." And then he proceeds to compare me to my grandfather, which is kind of, I guess, makes me smile. Um, you know, uh, every now and then I get one over on him, and I say, he comes in and he's got some elaborate setup on a how to set a head up so we can machine something on a head, and he's got this elaborate setup, and then he comes in a couple days later and I've got it worked down to this stupid little simple setup to get the angle right. And he just looks at me, and he looks at the setup, he looks at me, and he goes, "Well, that's really simple. Fuck you." And that's how you know you got him. It's only happened a couple of times, but it happens, and it feels really good. Um, to know that you got one over on the old guy. But when I started my machine shop, I was tired of working on cars because I've spent 27 years at this, and but I was tired of I was bouncing between machine shops and automotive repair, machine shops and automotive repair, and kind of I could never make up my mind. I graduated from uh, uh, trade school in 1998, and so when I decided I was really done working on cars, I just physically couldn't do it anymore. He kind of pushed me along and encouraged the automotive machine shop because we already had shop space rented uh, for doing the automotive repair, and the game plan was to uh, go buy the head machine. Me and a buddy of mine headed out to Kansas on a Sunday, and showed up in Kansas on a Monday morning, and came back with a head machine and had it on the ground on a Wednesday. And at that point, we already had a couple sets of heads sitting there and a couple blocks. We were already ready to go as far as starting to machine things. And the deal was, my wife was worried about running too much stuff. We were already really busy with the automotive repair, and now we want to get into machining, so that's almost a whole nother business. And about 2 weeks in, after we got the head machine in the boring bar, my wife, she goes, "You got to do something." She goes, now you're working doubles. You're working at a full shift at working on cars, and you're working on a full shift doing the running the machines and stuff. So something's got to give. You need to pick a job and go with it. You don't need to be running two shops, two businesses. That's ridiculous. Because originally the machine shop was supposed to be a little side project in the corner, and wasn't really sure it was going to go anywhere. And after that first 2 weeks, we were getting backed up on cars. We were getting backed up on machine work. It was bad. And I sat down because it was like, she's not going to put up with this shit. And so I decided to quit working on cars completely. We'd already sold the one lift to make room for the machines, and so we went and I ended up just finishing up the car work that I had, and I told the customers, no more, I'm done. I'm not working on cars anymore, and we went full machine shop. And it's definitely the best thing I could have possibly done. Um, so uh, then we moved. Then we did machine work for 3 years uh, in that shop, and then we just moved up to this shop um, about, I don't know, 5 or 6 months ago. We got everything up and running, and not ever going to move a shop again. This is where we're at. Uh, After I'm gone, somebody can move all this. I am not moving a machine shop again. That was horrible. So, but I'm really looking forward to making some videos and kind of showing people what we do and why we do it. And hopefully that'll give some other guys some ideas. And when you're trying to set something up, I mean, sometimes I'll go on and kind of look and see how some other guy sets something up. So it's not. I'm not trying to say I'm better than anybody else. I'm just going to show how I did it, uh, and you know, that doesn't mean it's the only way to do something. It doesn't mean it's the right way to do something. It just means that's how I did it. Uh, but hopefully we can get some. You can get something from my videos. But with us moving up here to the new shop, I think this would be a really fun way for Uncle Gene. He's always got to come see. He always used to come over and see what was going on in the shop. And now we're 67 miles up the road from where we were at, so he can't just swing by. We're not in the same neighborhood anymore. And so hopefully this will be a way for him too to be able to see how things go, because he's definitely been a big influence on my ability to be able to do this and be able to really do some cool things and you know really get to make some exciting things. So that's all I got. Hopefully I'll be getting it. Already got a couple of videos shot, so I'm going to get those pieced together and get those out here in the next couple of days probably. Definitely this week. So I guess we'll look forward to seeing you around the shop.